Mr. Speaker, I support with reservations.
Please proceed with reservations.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. This is probably one of the most important bills that we have to pass during this session because as you know, and like I've said in the past, that small businesses are the engine of our economy. Businesses in general that give us jobs are the engine of our economy. Mr. Speaker, I just wanted to address a couple issues that were brought up. We need an aggressive plan, and I'm thankful that we're bringing up this piece of legislation. The original, the House draft number 1, there's significant change, and now through the Chair of Finance and the Finance Committee, there's been a lot of improvement, I believe. I think we should go one step further, and I agree with my colleague from Hawaii Kai. The issues that I wanted to speak about was if the former representative who's now a senator of the Hilo area, when he passed this bill, there was a compromise. It was not only that we would give relief to small businesses, but in conjunction, we also gave an extended benefits. And so if you want to say that this is solely because of the warnings of possibly using up the unemployment fund during a bad time, it was also because of the second half of that bill, which was extending and making greater the benefits. So it's twofold. Mr. Speaker, I would also say, but in this, now we're looking for relief for the small businesses because these uninsurance premiums are going to go up significantly, we are not looking at the other side of the equation. So business, again, will be paying for anything that, any higher premiums. This is a business tax for the unemployed, and I don't disagree with it, but business pays for it. So if you're going to go into a deficit, the businesses will pay for it in repaying that fund or making payments for that fund. No unemployed person will come back and give back benefits. No unemployed person is going to come back and make payments unless they decide to become a business. So this is shouldered all on the business community to pay back any funds that they're borrowing. And if it means that they're going to borrow so that they can stay alive, then I think that that's a positive thing. And we should talk from this legislature because we do things like borrow into the future all the time with deficits. So I don't understand why we're going to be so strict on the unemployment insurance fund. Mr. Speaker, one of the good things, like I said, is that this is something that the chamber came to the table on. So it is, through testifying, it has been something that the chamber agrees to. But we've talked to businesses that are on the ground outside of this Capitol. And these increases, even that the chamber is requesting, are heavy, heavy, heavy increases for the average business out there. I think if we were to bring it to the ground, we were to bring it to the businesses out there, that they would tell us that they need a more aggressive approach and that they need this insurance increase, unemployment insurance increase, they would need to have a softer landing than we are presenting today. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Representative Ward.
Speaker, just a brief rebuttal.
Please proceed.
Mr. Speaker, no one in this state caused this problem. To say that one representative was prescient when we had $500 million sitting in that fund, that he was a soothsayer and knew what was going to happen. No one knew what was going to happen in 2008. No one knew that in the last quarter of 2009 we'd lose 46,000 jobs, 99% of which were private sector. Public sector has lost maybe 1%. The money that we're talking about here, if it does go, as the chair of labor said, goes into a deficit, it's borrowing money from the federal government. If there's anything that Hawaii has been very good at, is getting federal assistance. The final thing, Mr. Speaker, is that if this is going to cost us jobs, it's penny wise and pound foolish. I know it's relative to what the chamber says and what small businesses and other people we've talked to on the street, But you don't usually ask for a half a loaf until you know you can't get the full loaf. And some people will have said, according to the gentleman who was in this body who's now a senator, it's because he's in the Senate and the chair of labor that people are giving the half a loaf, because if anything less than that, he would have cut the bill off. So, Mr. Speaker, that's a different perspective to know why we're doing this very compromised
Representative
today.
Ward,
Thank
I
you,
believe your
Speaker.
statement is out of order, as you're assuming
Which
that,
statement is out of order, Speaker?
that you're assuming that the person from the other chamber is going to cut this half a loaf into a quarter loaf, and that's not correct.
What I have heard is that if he got it in
That's
any
your-
bigger proportions, it would not be passing.
Well, that particular statement is going to be written off the journal. Please, discussion, members of the House. Representative Lynn Finnegan.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I just wanted to, still with reservations.
Please proceed with reservations.
But I just wanted to make something very clear. The laid-off workers part. The reason why we're so, well, at least for myself, want to be aggressive with trying to help businesses, more aggressive than this bill is because we don't want more people being laid off. If businesses have so much of a spike in unemployment insurance taxes, the only thing that they can do in a depressed economy like ours is to look at possibly laying off more people. So our stance, my stance, in supporting businesses is because we don't want to see more laid off people. This isn't anti-laid off people. This is pro-job. This is keeping people in the workforce. This is what do we do at this crossroads when this could very well mean that we could lay off more people, just like in my opening day speech when we talked about Shirakia and the possibility of this bill going through, this unemployment insurance tax being hiked up and they not being able to afford their current workforce. So, Mr. Speaker, please understand and be very clear that this is not about being anti-unemployed. This is about pro-work and keeping people employed. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, I think it's very clear that this bill will create more unemployment because small businesses are going to end up having to lay off some workers. So it's a escalating problem. I don't see that we should necessarily rely upon the Chamber of Commerce's support for the bill because for the most part the Chamber represents very large businesses. The small businesses that were not there testifying are there at work. They don't have the luxury of sending someone down to the Capitol saying, if you pass the bill with this requirement in it, we're going to have to lay off some of our employees. So it's, I think what we're looking at is a self-perpetuating downturn, and I would hope that we would reassess this bill when it comes back from the Senate. Thank you.
May I have a ruling on a point of personal privilege, please?
State your point of personal privilege.
The point of personal privilege is one member from the other side said the GOP, this is a Twitter, this is a technology point of personal privilege, that the GOP is urging a softer landing for businesses on unemployment insurance, changes by reducing benefits for laid-off workers. Mr. Speaker, no one has said anything about benefits of laid-off workers being reduced. This is misinformation, it's unfair,
Representative
and it's
Ward.
a point of personal privilege. I'm offended by that. We have not said anything about benefits to workers.
Representative
It's
Ward,
unfair.
you have out of order.